We're now joined by Texas coach Tom Herman. Coach, welcome to the media days and your thoughts about the upcoming contest.
Not a whole lot to say. We've had a great offseason, pretty uneventful, which is always a good thing in college football. And our guys are getting bigger, they're getting faster, they're getting stronger. They're becoming more cohesive. Obviously, maybe the big news is that we broke ground on a $175 million end zone, south end zone renovation, which will not only enhance our game day atmosphere for our fans, but provide our players with some incredible state-of-the-art facilities, hopefully the best in the country. Injury update. The only one of significance is Alvante Woodard, redshirt freshman receiver, broke his foot and had a Jones fracture earlier this summer, and we're hoping to have him back midway through training camp, maybe as late as week 1 or 2, but he should be able to contribute at some point this season. But other than that, we're really healthy. We're really excited. I think the buy-in level is extremely high right now, and it's a really fun group to coach. Questions?
Question on the aisle.
Hey, Tom. John Hoover, the Franchise and Sporting News. Winning now, the mentality that coaches have to have. College football can almost be a 0-sum game, especially at a place where you're at, like where you're at. Winning now mentality versus having patience and building a culture. Can you address that and how you've kind of approached that with a little bit of patience in mind?
Yeah, I've been blessed with an unbelievable administration, and I really do believe that games are won or lost by players and coaches. Championships are won by administrations, and we have a championship administration in Chris Delcani at athletic director and Greg Fenves as president. And I think both of them understood where this program was when we had taken it over, and we're probably a bit ahead of schedule. To be honest with you, in terms of getting us back to consistently being where we expect Texas to be. But I do think there is an element of patience. I look no further. I lean on Coach Sweeney at Clemson quite a bit. I think it took him, 7 years, something like that, to win his first national championship. Coach Brown at Texas was the same. I'm not saying we're setting the bar at 7 years, but what I'm saying is we want to win championships, and we want to win them now. But we were brought here to rebuild a program, and that takes time. We weren't here to just have a really good season in year 2. We were here to rebuild a program and sustain that's capable of sustaining success, and we feel like we're on our way there.
Question on the aisle, right side, and we'll come up.
Coach, Curtis Quillen, KCEN in Temple. Zach Shackelford has been kind of a staple on your offensive line since you walked onto the campus. What are you looking for from him this season, and what's different about him now than when you first got to Texas?
Well, he's bigger and stronger. I can tell you that. He's healthier. He went through some ankle issues early when we got here. He is a tremendous leader, and you look no further than his family. I believe his father, two-parent home. Father is a chaplain in the military, so very disciplined young man that is probably, him and Sam Ehlinger are probably our two most vocal leaders offensively. And so, we're proud to have him. We think he's as good a center as there is in the country. He's brilliant when it comes to making the calls You know, the center is kind of the quarterback of the offensive line, and he's really the glue that holds that group together.
We got a question on the left side, third row.
Coach, Ian Boyd from Inside Texas. Last year, the offense was often defined by having Andrew Beck, who could block a defensive end one play, then motion out the next and get little Jordan Humphrey matched up on a linebacker. But both are now gone. So who will define the offense in 2019?
I don't know who would define the offense. I think that's a very subjective statement that you made in terms of the offense being defined by Andrew Beck and what he was able to do. But I think our offense will be very similar. You know, we feel like Cade Brewer is an excellent replacement for Andrew Beck. Obviously, Andrew was a two-time captain and first-team all-conference player, so those are some pretty big shoes to fill. And the same with L.J. Humphrey. I mean, enormous shoes to fill. But you know, we feel like our depth and talent at receiver is such that we feel that is a position of strength for us. And then we feel like Cade Brewer, you know, Cade started most of the season as a true freshman, having played wide receiver in high school, and then boom, you get to college and you're playing tight end at whatever he was at that time, probably 220 pounds. Now he's 250 pounds and can do a lot of the things similarly to Andrew.
We got a question on the aisle over here. We're going to take another one there and then back this side.
Wendell Barnhouse, PressBoxDFW.com. Sort of a follow-up about the tight end position. Why and how is it so important to the offense? I mean, Andrews, you know, I think a lot of people maybe overlooked. I know the staff didn't overlook, but his play and contribution last year really kind of was pretty important to the offense, correct?
Extremely important. Yeah, we define our offense as a pro spread. We're gonna run NFL concepts in the run game in terms of inside zone and power and counter. We're gonna run NFL concepts in the passing game, NFL concepts in our protections. The only difference is we're going to do it from the shotgun, and we're going to make defenses have to defend a mobile quarterback. And so I think, you know, we're not one of those fun and gun, chuck and duck, whatever you want to call it, you know, 4 wide receivers, throw it every snap and run a draw here and there. You know, we want to be a power running team, and we're slowly building that, and having a dominant tight end certainly helps along the way.
Question on the second row.
To your right, Coach. Otmar Richardson from Orange Bloods and Rivals.com. Coach, it's been since 2011 since Texas has played Texas A&M. Do you want to see this rivalry renewed? And if so, what needs to happen for this game to be played again?
Well, I'd love to see the rivalry renewed. I think it's great for college football. It's great for Texas. You know, there's plenty of other intrastate rivals that are in different conferences that find a way to play each other. Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida, Florida State, Iowa, Iowa State. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so the second part of your question, I don't know what needs to happen because I don't know what happened in 2011. I wasn't in those meetings. But I do think that, you know, if we've got some really smart people in both universities' administrations, we could find a way to make that game happen. And I think it'd be great for Texas fans. You know, we don't play a historic rival at home anymore, ever. We got to drive to Dallas to play our lone remaining historic rival. And then for our players, you know, I'd much rather know that every other year our longest non-conference road game is going to be 2 hours down the road instead of getting on a plane to Los Angeles to play a night game in Pacific time, or flying to Columbus, Ohio, or Gainesville, Georgia, or Gainesville, Florida. So To answer your question, certainly would love to see it. I think it'd be great for recruiting. It'd be great for the families of our players to be able to drive to a non-conference road game. But the second part of your question, I have no idea what needs to happen to make that happen.
We got 3 questions on this side. Over here on the left, Coach.
Hey, Tom. Brian Davis, Austin American Statesman. When you heard Baker Mayfield and Terry Bradshaw's comments, were you just excited, over the moon, like this is the best thing that could have happened for someone to crap on your quarterback like that?
I don't know if excited was the first emotion, but you know, I heard it. I mean, it'd be lying to you if I told you I don't know what you're talking about. I certainly do, but it's irrelevant. You know, what other people say about us and our program doesn't really faze us, and so the irrelevancy of it, you know, was at an all-time high. You know, I do know, you know, our guys, they file certain things away. You know, we had a bowl game recently where, you know, the other team was very disrespectful, and that gave us some motivation leading up to the bowl game. And you know, Sam loves to play with a chip on his shoulder, and I'm sure he'll use this to crank it up a notch. But it is, again, it's pretty irrelevant in terms of how it affects our program. We're worried about our program.
Sure. And taking Sam, if you set Sam aside for a second, what are you most excited about with the rest of the offense?
Well, the development of the run game. Certainly, I think our offensive line has a chance, if we stay healthy, to be as good as we've had here in our 3 years. And the tailback position, Keontae Ingram, this is a true freshman that rushed for over 700 yards, unlimited carries because he missed some games due to injury. And he had another really good player in Trey Watson playing with him in the same spot. And he's also put on 15, 20 pounds of you know, what we call, you know, armor, you know, to hopefully, because that's a very violent position, one that takes a pretty good beating. So he understood that he needs to pack on that muscle to try to stay healthy throughout the season. And then I think the second year in the system, he's become a lot more patient. I think he's understands also when a run is blocked for 4 yards, go get the 4 yards. Don't try to hit a home run every time. And then the emergence of Jordan Whittington has been remarkable. I've never seen in my 22 years coaching a young man have never played a certain position, even in high school, to come in and say, hey kid, you're going to play tailback for us, at least for this season, if not longer, and say, yes, sir. And he took to it like a fish to water and is very natural at it. And we're really excited about him as well.
Got a question on that, Kurt?
Yep, Kurt Bowles from the Austin American. You say you're going to win with great defenses. Obviously, you had some struggles there last year. How much closer are you getting to becoming that type? And I'm asked you to give an update for my question last year, if you had a different answer.
The answer would be the same. It would just be with a lot less thought. But we have some. Not all of our 85 scholarship players are at championship level yet, but we certainly have enough that if we play our best and we develop the way that we think we can, that we can compete for a championship, certainly. And yeah, we need to make improvements on defense. We've recruited very well. on that side of the ball. We've developed them in the weight room very well. We're going to be very young. There's no secret to that. But young and talented is better than young and not talented, I can tell you that. So we got to find a way to get the best 11 guys on the field. I think that's important as well, regardless of what position they play. But we feel good. We feel like Todd Orlando's, the cream of the crop when it comes to defensive coordinators in this league. And I have no doubt that we'll get better simply by an infusion of talent and another year of development in our system.
We got time for 2 more questions. We're going to take one more on this side, and then we're going to take one over there on the right side.
Hey, Tom. Cedric Golden, Austin American Statesman. I asked you during your first year if this challenge was tougher than you had first anticipated. You said yes, but the improvement has been there. How much easier is it now to get that buy-in now that they've actually put those wins on the board, as opposed to you telling them it could happen?
It's imperative. I wouldn't ever call anything we do easy or easier, but it is imperative when you demand the things that we demand of our players. And we talk all the time about the price of a championship being set by the football gods, and it's the same for any team in the country. And are you willing to pay that price? And our guys definitely have been, but the results were a bit hit or miss that first year. And so for this past season to have those tangible results and to beat your rival in the Cotton Bowl and be able to have the golden hat in Austin for a year at least, and to be able to win a New Year's Six bowl game, I think, and all of the victories in between definitely makes the ability for a young man to buy in much easier, for sure.
Hey, Coach. Mike Roach, Orange 24/7. With the change in the recruiting calendar, early signing day, spring officials, how has that altered your plan for recruiting, and are you in favor of that newer schedule?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're at the point now after 2 years of this where I think we all know December's not the early signing day, it's the signing day, and February is the late signing day, if you will, because so many kids are going to sign in December. Am I in favor of it? Not really, but it is what it is. And how has it changed? Obviously, there's quite a bit of strategy that goes into trying to figure out when a young man's going to make his decision as to whether you want to bring him in on a spring official visit or a fall official visit or a December official visit or a January official visit. So there's quite a bit of strategy involved there. And all it's done is accelerated the recruiting process. What December used to be, in terms of commitment season, is now June and July and August. And so we've got to adjust our way of thinking and kind of push the calendar back and just, you find yourself, we're going to sign a class of 2020 here in December, and we are heavily recruiting the class of 2021 and quite a bit of 2022 kids as well that have played varsity. So it just has sped everything up. I think you're going to see probably a few more recruiting misses because you're offering guys, so many more guys after their sophomore season, just to be able to recruit them, that it's probably not fair to your program because you haven't seen those young men really develop physically and emotionally and from a maturity standpoint. But the old saying, you got to do business the way business is done. And this is the new landscape of college football, and it's our job to adapt to it.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
answers. Best of luck for the season.